Welcome to my video here about using Ableton Live to be your live guitar setup. This is just like the dream come true box for me. I've been, as most guitar players have, I've had countless numbers of amps and pedals and pedal boards and configurations. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. It becomes a sickness. You just, you have to try this thing or that thing, and if only this was different or better or whatever. So this this setup here in Ableton with VST plugins allows me to do all that virtually and have an unlimited toolbox, basically, to be able to do whatever I want, create whatever sounds I want. The other thing is I wanted to get away from having a big setup of, pedals and cases and cables and power cords and all the rest. So everything happens in the box with this setup. So that's a pretty cool thing, at least in my opinion. The way I've got my signal chain, I'm just running directly into an audio interface. In this case, I happen to be using an Akai EIE Pro. I mentioned also using Line 6 stuff. I have an HD500X I'm using as the MIDI controller. Technically, I could use that as the audio interface as well. However, I get lower latency, better buffer settings with the Akai. Plus, it has 4 preamps on it, so I can run vocals and other things. And which, I can cobble things together with the HD500 in that regard. So it does work for that. But this is just easier, and I already had the interface from my studio. So using that to get the sound in. From there, basically, the guitar just runs straight into this live guitar channel. I'm using S-Gear as the primary tone. Love this plugin. It just sounds good. I've been using digital plugins, digital amps, digital pedals since Line 6's first amp came out in the late 90s, and I've been a huge fan of it, and it's good stuff. But this is the first one I've heard where I just plug into it and it just sounds good. Like no, I don't have to get it dialed in the way I want it. Like you don't have to dial this in. You can just try to dial it out, I guess, because it just sounds right when you pull it up. It just works. So it was kind of the plugin that inspired me to kind of take the plunge and say, all right, I'm going to go all in the box. And then I've got, this is a work in progress. Well, it'll always be a work in progress, but now I don't have to buy more pedals to change things up. I just drag new components in. But for today, at least, I've got an instance of Guitar Rig 5 sitting in front of S-Gear with wah and Tube Screamer. These other things I'm just playing around, not really using those. But these two are pretty integral parts of the tone. So what I'm going to do before I explain much more about the setup, I'm just going to play through some tones, kind of let you see what I'm getting out of this. I mean, after all, if the tones aren't good, what's the point? That's got to be there. So anyway, let me play a little bit, and I'll explain what I'm changing as I change things. Guitar-wise, I'm using a Line 6 Variax with a Strat neck and a Les Paul bridge for the most part, to kind of give you, the ends of the spectrum, kind of the typical guitar stuff. So anyway, I'm going to just play a little bit, starting out here. All effects, with the exception of reverb, are off, and this is the Custom 57 set to a clean sound. What I really like about it is it just has a nice dynamic pop to it whenever you really dig in. I found that to be missing really from a lot of clean amp modeling in the past. It just sounded flat to the point where I'd almost given up on a clean guitar sound. It just was boring. This is kind of, for me anyway, kind of breathed life back in. I have a pedal set to just change some parameters, some knobs on the Custom 57. You can see the volume jumped up and the level came down a little bit, and backs off on the bass a little bit. This is kind of like not exactly like channel switching, but in a sense it is, because it takes it from clean to a little bit of a mild breakup. So here's this sound. So a nice little grit to it, kind of in my mind, a bluesy, really bluesy sound. And again, the dynamics are intact. Nice pop, nice attack on the strings. From there, I'm going to kick on the tube screamer on the guitar rig side. This just saturates a little bit more, compresses it, a little more drive. So here's what that sounds like. So really cool stuff. I mean, you can kind of definitely cover, the SRV territory with these sounds. Really cool stuff. S-Gear also has this AB amp setting here, so it's kind of neat. I can have a separate amp I can flip over to without changing the preset, so all of the cabinet, reverb, effects, delay, all that stays the same. So I've got a Wayfarer here, more of the way I've got it set to my ears, it's more of like a Marshall-y crunch kind of sound. And if I want to really saturate that, I'll kick the tube screamer on. For me, that's about as much gain as I ever need. I'm more of a kind of a rock blues guy. So that pretty well covers my needs as far as gain is concerned. So I kind of stop there. High gain guys want to go a lot farther, but so those kind of the range of amp sounds I'm looking for. A couple other things. I've got kind of a medium delay I'm using in S-Gear. I've got it set on an analog setting, kind of a medium length, medium feedback. In case I want to get into any U2 stuff, I have a second delay. Just one repeat, and the mix is pretty much 50-50 with the original guitar sound. So you just get that one repeat. So complete sound. So it's, if you want to do the U2 thing, let me get the tempo tapped in. Sorry, apparently can't tap tempos today. Let me just set it where I want it. All right. So that's that delay. And effects-wise, that's about as far as I've gotten. I'm sure I will spend endless hours adding and tweaking and auditioning stuff, but primarily that fits my needs. Kind of a clean to drive, a little bit of delay. Played around some chorus and tremolo and stuff, but none of it's really integral. But anyway, that's just a real quick overview of the tone section. All right, so basically, live guitar feeds out to the master, but also created a guitar loop track to be able to capture looping on, kind of on the fly, do live looping stuff. So that's useful if I want to record a riff or progression and then play back over it live, vamp on something, whatever. So that's pretty cool. Ableton's looper effect works really well for that. I have the multi-purpose button assigned to a MIDI pedal on my HD 500, and basically I hit it to record, hit it again to start playback. The only real thing I had to change. I have it set to never send the input to the output. That means that the guitar signal, just the straight guitar signal, never makes it out of this channel. The only thing that plays out of this channel is what gets recorded in Looper, which is the way it happens to work best for me. So I went ahead and created the identical thing on this channel here that feeds from the vocal instead of the guitar. Not really a beatboxer, so I don't know that I'll ever use that, but it was easy enough to set up. So just in case, I thought I'd make it and have it there. This section here is for backing tracks. If I'm doing a one-man band kind of thing and not playing with a group, this is kind of cool. I can have songs here and be able to play along with them. So far I haven't created any custom backing tracks yet. This is just some stuff I found off the internet. It's kind of, one, it's just kind of proof of concept, but two, I mean, some of them are actually okay. I wouldn't mind, certain settings would be cool enough to use. One nice thing Ableton has is I can define tempo in the scene description over here. So if my tempo's at 105, but Lenny plays at 58, I can have that adjust. So basically you can see that has adjusted the tempo to 58. So that's pretty cool. All these do that down through. Then I also found this plugin Follow that allows you to more tightly define how clips follow one another. Like in the case of Texas Floods, I guess this is my SRV section. These are, I guess, the most easily found backing tracks online. But there's an intro, verse, and ending section. And this Follow plugin kind of gives me the opportunity to define more what I want it to do. Like, for instance, I want the verse, this 12-bar section here. Once it gets there, I want it to repeat indefinitely until I decide I want to go to the ending. So this allows me to tell it to do that. And you can assign this to a pedal and let you toggle between play next and play again. So this is really cool. I've seen some YouTube videos of guys really doing some pretty awesome stuff with this. I'm using it in its most simplest application, but it does what I need it to do. This track here is for pads. I just have a couple of pads. You can use the operator plugin, and just this kind of ethereal pad sound for improvising over, just to give you some background noise. Same thing here with this drums. I'll drop drum loops in there eventually, just if I want some stuff to play against or play with. This automation, I don't know how much I'm going to end up using this, but when reading up on how to set this up, I was reading about using MIDI channels and things with MIDI envelopes to automate parameter changes on another channels. So in this case, I can set this channel to control parameters of S gear over here on live guitar. The theory behind it being, let's say I have a song and I just need a whole host of changes made. I could put MIDI clips in here that when I launch this scene, it would accommodate those changes automatically. I don't know if I'll go the trouble to setting it all up, but it might be just as easy to change presets. But at any rate, I think it's a neat concept, so I want to play around with it a little bit. That's what that's there for, but it's not a real integral part of anything I'm doing at the moment. The other key component to this, let me get this loaded up, is you have to be able to control it live. I can't just click, stop playing and start clicking my keyboard buttons to turn on and off delays or change a setting or whatever. Like I need some real-time control. I mentioned I was a Line 6 user, have the HT500X. It's a great MIDI controller. It actually works very, very well. And I should have had this already loaded up, but it's pulling in the preset, so I can show you how to do that. Essentially, on the Ableton side, you just enable this MIDI button. Everything that's highlighted can be assigned to a MIDI controller, MIDI button. So you would just, let's just say, for instance, I wanted to assign, the on-off switch of Guitar Rig. I would just click on it, and then you can see whenever I hit anything MIDI, it it assigns that MIDI command to it, which is pretty cool. So I can assign basically anything to a pedal, which comes in very, very handy. On the HD side of things, all you need to do is come over to Controllers tab. You can do this on the pedal. I despise the menu system on the pedal itself. I just never gelled with it, so I always like to use the Edit program. Basically, the way I've got it, foot switch 1 is in CC10 and on up the line. They're just assigned to different CC values. And that works really well. I put these noise gates, I just picked the first effect on the list. The reason I populated the effects here is so when I hit switches on the HD500, it turns on and off effects, which means it lights up the pedal. The only thing that does really is gives me visual feedback, but to me, I guess I could get by without it, but it'd make it a lot more challenging. It's a lot easier when I know I can look down and know what effects are on or off by seeing that visual feedback. So that's my setup. It's really great. It's really flexible. Does everything I want it to do, and then some. I'm still figuring out new ways to pull off some cool tricks and do stuff with it. It's actually I have to be careful that I don't end up spending as much time tweaking this as I did my pedals and stuff, because part of this was I want to get away from having to tweak and mess with stuff and just play, but now the palette is almost just infinite. So there's that temptation to just kind of keep going. That's why right now, my setup's pretty bare bones, just an amp, couple delays, whatever. But if you have any questions about if you're looking to set up a kind of a live in the box rig, I'll be glad to help any way I can. I'm still learning how to do this as well, and this is a bit of a work in progress, but loving it. It's a lot of fun. I encourage you to just try this if you've ever thought you might want to. It's worth a try, and it's really cool, really, really cool stuff. So anyway, thanks for taking the time to listen to this, and I'll talk to you soon.